Okay. All I want to do is take a little bit from each one of the sodas on the soda machine, and the Coke Freestyle machine, while it offers me endless possibilities, requires entirely too many button presses between switching flavors. And all I want to do is mix root beer and lime Fanta, but it won't let me without having to interface with the thing nonstop. And I think to myself, you need to stop going to Five Guys.
Do they have the best soda fountain though?
I mean, the freestyle machine's really cool if you want to just drink lime Fanta, but if once you start mixing grape and the other flavors in there, it's too many button presses. It's a
Shoot,
nightmare.
TJ, we went live.
Okay, so we did.
Welcome everybody to Sawdust Talk. This is episode 133, and we are joined today with our friend Evan, our Canadian young woodworking friend. We're going to get into him in a moment. My name is Jessie of Building Jessie, and my co-host here is TJ of TJT Workshop. And TJ is going to talk about our sponsors before we jump into the show.
Okay, so first sponsor that we get to shout out is Surf Prep Sanding Systems. The world is full of options for your abrasives and your sanding and your dust collection. But of those options, really only one of them is made in the USA, right out there in California by our friend Hannah. And that's Surf Prep Sanders in sanding abrasives and all kinds of other fun stuff. Hannah and Surf Prep have been with us pretty much since season 2, if you want to break it up into seasons. We're grateful for that. And frankly, if you're sanding with something that doesn't say Surf Prep on it, what are you doing? Do better. Surf Prep. The other thing that we need to talk about is Makers for St. Jude. I just looked it up. Mike at Woodworker versus Cancer and Makers for St. Jude has updated the website, and this year we have raised just over $36,000. Jesse, have you looked at the site lately? Yeah, it's crazy.
I do know that the Onefinity raffle went wild.
Yes, the Onefinity raffle ended up raising like 7,800 or 8,700. I can't remember, but it was a lot of money for the charity, and we're very, very proud of the guys over at Onefinity and everything that Mike's doing. Childhood cancer sucks. There isn't a word to put a silver lining in that story. It's terrible. St. Jude Children's Charities make life easier for the kids. They develop research, and they help make sure that the families are comfortable as they're going through one of the most horrible things that a family can experience. So, really proud to have our wagons hitched to the Makers for St. Jude Foundation. If you want to get involved, September, there's still 9 days of September left, and it's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. So you can get your wagon to the Makers for St. Jude fundraiser, get a project up, raise some money, and become a part of an opportunity to not only help people save on their taxes, though I'm not a tax professional, but also to potentially win lavish prizes, the sum of which I think is now greater than $3,000 worth of prizes to all of the participants for the fall challenge. So check out Mike over at Maker for St. Jude and get yourself aligned and do something awesome with the awesome stuff you do.
And Evan, welcome to Sawdust Talk. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Of course. You are a busy guy. You have a lot going on. Do you want to just kind of jump into like who you are, how you started, let the people that don't know who Evan is know who Evan is?
Yeah, for sure. So my name's Evan. I'm 16 years old. I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I started woodworking a long time ago. Some things I don't even remember, but I started woodworking when I really started when I was 9, watching like social media, YouTube, all that. And I started a business from that through my Instagram, Evan's Workshop. And from there, those past 6 years, I've really grown as a woodworker, content creator. And now I enjoy building. I love it.
What is your favorite thing to build?
Oh man, there's a lot. I like building everything, but my favorite project that I've ever built was a boat.
Okay.
A boat?
Let's talk some more about making boats real quick. Did this boat seat more than one person?
No, just me.
That's
So I'll give you a little backstory on it. So I don't know if you remember, but like a couple of years ago, Jason Burbamoth, he came out with a YouTube video building a boat in like 3 days. And I remember I watched that and I was just like, wow. And after I watched, I was like, I need to build a boat. I don't even think I finished the video. I was like, I need to build a boat. I started researching materials, how to even build a boat, um, calculations like buoyancy, displacement values, motors, like everything I needed to make this boat like work. And then from there, it started like a 6 month build of building this little boat in my garage, which ended up floating.
I was
Okay,
just
yeah,
gonna
that
ask
was
it.
the follow-up question. Was your boat buoyant?
It was.
It
That's
was
excellent.
point.
Did you row this boat, or were you able to affix a motor to it, or what was the
So
strategy here?
I actually fixed a cordless trolling motor on the back. So it didn't go very fast, but for a little boat that was a little over 6 feet, I thought it was pretty cool. And I felt like it went pretty quick. It was pretty light, so it doesn't take much to propel it.
That
That's
is
super cool.
awesome.
It
So
was amazing.
is boat building gonna sort of live just as a memory, or do you think you could find yourself pulling like a Nick Offerman and getting into canoes at some point in time?
Well, I've been saying it for a while, but I want to build another boat, hopefully in the near future. Because that was, I don't know why, there's just something about that project that I absolutely loved. From like, I think it was the big thing with it was just building something that I had zero clue what I was doing and then ending up like making something that was fully functional and just the challenges that came with that project. For me, like, I'm a big problem solver, and when I encounter challenges, I like to get through it. I just like to think, use my head, and just figure out many ways to get past it.
So
Definitely.
do you feel like the like YouTube Academy is like has been a big part of your inspiration getting into woodworking is watching other makers just make things?
Oh, 100% YouTuber University all the way. That's like, as I said, that's how I pretty much got started in like starting my business was because of YouTube and Instagram and social media and just watching like all these guys build cool stuff out of their garages, their shops, and just like it inspired me to like, wow, I can build this too. But how do I get into this?
Yeah. And you've mentioned we've mentioned a couple names. Who would you say are the top three people that have inspired you? And follow up, have you met them and were they wonderful?
Okay, so there's a lot to name. Like there's probably too many to name. But 100% there's like Jimmy. I've been watching Jimmy for a long time. Izzy Swan actually inspired me to build like a go-kart car powered by my drill when I think it was 11 or 12. And and your follow up, yes, I have met all of them a couple times at like Makers Camp, Workbench Con, and they not just them, but everybody in the maker community is just so friendly and welcoming, and it is awesome. I really enjoy going into like the meetups and like the workbench con and just seeing everybody and just talking shop for the weekend. It's amazing.
I love that. What you
So
got,
my
T?
son and I have been discussing the idea of potentially making a go-kart of sorts or a car that is powered by a drill. Would you say that uh, the speeds achievable with what you were able to construct was something that was a worthwhile endeavor, or did it get turned into a set of bookshelves shortly thereafter?
Um, like I'm sure you can imagine, it didn't go that quick, but it was pretty good. How old's your son?
5.
Oh, so a drill. A drill will be more than enough to power a go kart for him. It's just like I built mine out of like 2x4s, like plywood and that type of stuff, but like you can make it like really good, like with like chains and all that, and it would be good. Definitely worthwhile.
That's
Is it
awesome.
are you interested at all in like metal work? Like, do you see yourself like getting a welder or moving into that kind of atmosphere, or is woodworking like your heart and soul?
As much as I love woodworking, at Makers Camp, I actually tried blacksmithing for the first time. Like,
Yeah.
I remember like the blacksmithing tent and like there was
Mhm.
like the classes. So I built like the bookmark from one of those classes, and I also started making like a little like owl, like to make like little holes for like your drill. I started making it. I have to build a handle for it. I haven't got around to that yet, but it was really fun. I don't know if I'd see myself like buying a welder because like I don't really have room for anything else in my garage. I've kind of filled it out completely.
Time for a bigger shop.
Yep.
I think so. Yeah.
What you need
But
is an
it's fun. I
accessory
enjoy it.
garage off the back of the
Yeah.
garage so that you can do more garage things.
Yeah. An ultimate garage.
There you go. We'll reach out to Tough Shed and we'll get something
Yeah.
going. It'll be a new channel called Evans 10 by 12, the
Yeah.
unlicensed workshop.
The unlicensed.
I don't think the city of Toronto would like that very much.
We'll figure out the laws. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. But I would like to try and incorporate a little bit more metalworking into my projects eventually. Because right now I'm like fully wood. Everything I makes out of wood.
Right. So so we have talked about kind of how you got started. You got started really young, and you're really well known in the maker community, which is kind of insane, right? For someone your age. And for some of us like me, like I feel like I've kind of watched you grow up. And I mean, the first time I met you, you were like, shoulder high,
Yeah.
and now you're taller.
14. Yeah.
Taller than me. So, I mean, it's been a few years, but I mean, how do you go about handling being a content creator and being a normal kid and doing high school stuff and having friends, and like, where's that life balance? Like, how does that work for you?
Like, it's pretty tricky, to be honest with you. It's impossible to juggle everything that I have on my plate right now. And my mom actually helps me out like with getting my content to market, because I don't have time for like school, homework, friends, building, editing, like running a business. It's just a lot to handle as a full-time student, as you said. So my mom really helps me out there, and it's amazing. So she's pretty much the only reason why I'm able to do everything I'm doing right now.
Does she make your videos for you or help with video making?
Sometimes, yeah. Like I film everything in my shop, like as I'm doing it. I got my tripod. I set it up like when I'm doing something, but like sometimes I send the videos to her and she helps me edit them and help me get them onto my Instagram account and YouTube and all my social medias.
Right on.
So, what is a discipline if your world revolves around wood, and that's your clue here, that you'd like to explore more? Let's say if you had room in your shop for another tool or something like that. He said, hinting that you should be on a lathe.
Yes. I've turned a couple of things. Like at my grandfather, we turned. So I actually restored a couple of hand planes before. It was a Stanley number 140. And me and my grandfather hand turned the front knob out of rosewood on his lathe, and I enjoyed that. But if I were to get another tool, if I had room, it would definitely be a table saw, because that's the one tool I don't have right now.
It's okay, buddy. I don't have much of a
Sawdust.
table saw either. You're not
Yeah.
missing out on a lot.
Yeah.
So
But
are
if I
you
were to get
using a
one-
track saw?
Yeah, I have a track saw. I kind of like find a lot of ways to go around using a table saw because I don't have
Yeah.
access to one. But if I were to get one, I would have to save my pennies for a saw stop, because as a kid, I'm not trying to lose any of my digits on a table saw.
Yeah, you got a long
trying to
career
have
of
these.
keeping those
Yeah.
fingers around, man. I highly suggest you do so.
Yeah.
And then you've
And on
got
top
like
of, like,
most
the
of your
safety.
20s to get through also, and that's where you just
Yeah.
lose all capacity for like good decision making. Goes right out the window. And that's why saw stops there, right?
Yeah, and they're also great table saws. I've had the pleasure of using them in the past.
Do your friends think you're famous?
So, like, if I'm gonna be honest, like my friends, they know what I do, but I don't think they fully know what I do. Like they're
Yeah.
aware of like my social media presence and all of that, and I think it's really cool, and they support me, and they think like, oh wow, that's awesome. But I don't think they fully understand what really goes into it and like everything I do in the shop.
I think it's funny you say that too, because I almost feel the same way. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, is that, I go to work or something and I do my job and I talk about woodworking, I talk about working on my house, stuff like that, but I don't think people really fully understand, and maybe
Yeah.
that's imposter syndrome for some of us, that we're like don't want to say, hey, we have X amount of followers and we're doing these cool events and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think unless you really break it down, like people don't really understand everything that goes into something like what you're doing.
Yeah. It's like we're all living double lives.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then you start feeling real weird beating your chest about it because like what you've accomplished in terms of building your business and your presence online and stuff like that's really no small feat. So it's like something that people in the community are absolutely proud of you for doing, right? But
Yeah,
then,
it's not easy.
you've got it just feels weird being like, yeah, so I'm kind of a big deal, like with a question mark, but when you say it, you get to say it with an exclamation point, right?
Yeah.
And that's
It's
that's
God.
rad, dude.
Yeah, thank you. It's no easy endeavor growing a social media platform like organically, but like that's just over the past 6 years posting stuff consistently and all that. That just it happens slowly. It's not like an overnight thing, like 0 to 50,000. It's taken a long, long time.
What do you think is next for you? I mean, obviously finishing high school is
Hmm.
important, but I mean, future wise, I'm assuming you want to continue woodworking and going down that route, but I mean, are you thinking like college or are you going to go straight into like social media? Like what does that look like?
I'm gonna be totally honest with you guys. I actually have zero clue what I want to do. Like in like let's say 10 years time, I have zero clue what I want to do yet. And it's kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing because I still have a little bit of time to think about it. But I also should probably get on that soon because with like university, college, I think I want to go to university and get like some sort of like business degree because I think that would help like my case a little bit with like the wood shop or like running a business. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do yet.
Yet.
Big yet.
We're all
So
we're all watching. We're all staying tuned for this. We're
yeah.
watching you unfold.
I will 100% I will never stop woodworking. I just don't know if it's going to become like a full-time thing for me when I'm older or if it's just like a little side thing. But whatever happens, I will do it forever. I love it. And why would I stop doing something I love?
Well, and it's so convenient to be able to do also, my dude. Like we forget because we're ears deep in it all the
Yep.
time. But like the act of joining a couple of 2x4s together with a screw is kind of intimidating for probably greater than 50% of the population, which is just it's wild, man. Like,
It's also even greater with kids my age, which is
yeah.
why I think there's not a lot of kids that are doing this. There's only a handful, and I think it's because a lot of people who don't have backgrounds in this, they're intimidated because like they go on social media, they look at all these people with like these ginormous shops that are decked out with tools, everything you can imagine. They're just like, this is not feasible to get into, and I don't know how to jump in. But my advice to them would be, just do it. Start out small. I started out with just a drill and I turned it into a whole shop with like a whole shop where I could build everything. So,
And without a table saw.
and without a table saw, which is pretty big. A lot of people are like, "How do you not build these things with a table saw?" They're like, "How'd you build that box with a table saw? How'd you cut it open?" I'm like, "A jigsaw."
Yeah. You just make it work. No, man,
Exactly.
I was doing something similar, but social media didn't exist in the late 1900s when I was a boy, which is a wonderful sentence. But yeah, for me, it was aggressive inline skating, right? And so, like, I got into woodworking doing half pipes and
Yeah.
building rails and skate boxes and stuff like that. And I mean, it was the 90s, and my dad had tools, but he also worked a lot, and so I just took them and did it, right? So I think it's
Yeah.
really cool that like you've got parents that are cultivating this interest, and then you also have maybe the most wholesome online community ever.
Oh, the online woodworking community is the greatest. It
Yeah.
truly is. Everybody
And then,
supports each other.
and then knowing that like if you do find yourself stumped, like the phone a
Yeah.
friend capacity that your business and your social media presence has given you is unreal, dude. Like if you really needed to weld up a 6-inch hinge, right? You could probably reach out to like any of 20 very reputable welders and be like, look, I'm in a pickle. I need some help. And you get the help, man. It's just awesome.
Yeah, no, everybody's great and everybody helps each other. And I would help somebody else. I would help somebody out if they asked me for help, of course. Sometimes people DM me and like, oh, how can I do this? How can I do that? And I tell them,
Yeah.
whatever they need trying to do.
Well, helping people actually was part of how you got started. So I want you to talk about that a little bit with the sick kids.
Yes. So a part of my business is I donate 10% of my proceeds to Sick Kids, which is a children's hospital here in Toronto. I bet you similar to St. Jude's in the States. And I've been donating for as long as my business has been going on for 6 years. But on top of just donating 10%, sometimes I do like projects where 100% goes to it, or sometimes I do like online auctions. And a good example of that recently is me and my buddy and mentor Paul from Canadian Woodworks. We teamed up and we built a Sam Maloof inspired guitar pick stool out of cocoa bolo and curly maple. And it was stunning. It was an amazing stool. And we auctioned it off and it raised $5,000 for Sick Kids.
Heck yeah, dude.
So
I
it was
love that.
awesome. And like from like in general, like I've donated a total of over $20,000 to Sick Kids through my woodworking.
And that's just you.
That's just you,
Yeah.
man.
Just from
It's
Evan.
it's crazy to think about. It's like I like as like one person, like I'm sure like I've had a little bit of an impact on like children's lives, and that's just really awesome to think about. And the whole reason why I picked Sick Kids in the first place is because when I was starting my business, I was talking about it with my parents. Were like, that would be like really great if you started doing that. And then they're like, what would you like to support? And I said Sick Kids because I'm a kid and I want to help other kids.
Oh my gosh. There's so much that inspires me about you. Like, I mean, the fact that you're young and you started when you were young. So I have two kids, one of which is interested in the workshop. The other one is not.
Yeah.
But my daughter, she loves it. She's coming to maker camp with me this year. She's welded. She's, used a table saw. She's used a million different tools. And I think like what TJ was saying, like having your parents be able to foster that in you and be like, no, let's make this happen. Let's learn safe ways to do this, and figure out, YouTube University maybe, but
Yeah.
figure out how to do it. Like if we don't know,
Of
you want to
course.
do this, you have a dream, let's go. Let's do it. So
Yeah, I
it's
think
really
being creative is like amazing. Because like I just think of something, I'm like, I want to build that. And like one thing with me is like when I get like my mind set on building something or something in general, it will not get off my mind until I do it. Like I just got that. Like I'm like, that's awesome. I gotta build it. Boom, I built it.
So are you one of those that goes down to the workshop like late? Because you're like, I have an idea. I have to do this right now.
Sometimes, yeah. But sometimes it doesn't start in workshop. Sometimes it starts like with me like just doing research. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And then I start researching, where can I buy this? Where can I get that? How do I even do that? What can I do to make that? And then I start building.
There you go.
Yes. I experienced that exact phenomenon this week.
Oh yeah, what were you doing?
Well, it was late at night and I was restless. And I thought to myself, well, I'm pretty good at turning wood and I've got a pretty decent collection of wood. And I thought to myself, let's make a recorder,
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
this.
I used to
Turns
play one of
out,
those in school.
upon further research, the hole that runs down the length of a recorder is tapered along that entire
Really?
length. And that there are recorder makers, when they're not made out of like injection plastic or 3D printed, they have these special reamers that are like super long and take care of it. And I am trying to figure out if I want to build / buy a recorder reamer in the name of making recorders, or if I just need to abandon my dreams. But it is deep
Yeah,
in my brain this week of,
I
man,
know
I totally need to
exactly.
make a recorder.
I know exactly what you feel like with that. It's like it just won't get off your mind until you do it.
I feel like as a
It's gonna.
parent, you're gonna really regret making recorders until your kids get a little bit old.
Oh no, they exist and they have them. At least they're not those whistles that they give lifeguards or like sports officiants, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, those
It's
whistles are
like
loud. We don't give those to kids.
Nope.
I used to play a recorder in like grade 5 maybe, and I would bring it home to play and my mom was just like, "What is that sound?" Because like I'm not like musical like whatsoever. Like I'm just not good at like instruments, like singing any of that, and like it was just really funny. I would just blow into it to annoy everybody. It was amazing.
Yeah,
So I think you might want to take that into consideration before
yeah. I think
you
I'm
build.
gonna
I
do a
work.
kazoo first. There's a lot of good plans for making kazoos. Can be done in an afternoon, and I'm really hoping that that scratches an itch and deters me from my quest for recorders. But I'd be lying to you if I said that the book with the instructions on how to make recorders was not on its way because it is. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna read
there's a lot of there's a lot of like wooden instruments that are so like really beautiful things. And I know I've never personally built like a wooden instrument, but I know like they're very intricate. Like for like guitars, for example, like the wood has to be like perfect or it messes with like the acoustics or the sound. And it's a lot deeper than like one would think. Just like grabbing a piece of wood and making it. There's a lot that goes into them.
Yeah. I feel like if you get into making instruments, you should know like how to play them and how they work before you like really dive deep, TJ, because I
If
think it's
not, it looks
important.
cool on the shelf.
I'm just you guys just wait. 2 years from now, there's going to be a recorder in the background, and I'm just going to have a great big grin. I'm just going to do it in secret, not tell anyone. That's not true. I'll tell everybody I'm making recorders, and then you guys can mock me. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, for our listeners that have followed Evan for a while, we have had to plan this podcast around driving school and school.
Yeah.
Are there any other, like, do you play sports or like what else do you do aside from woodworking?
So I used to play sports like back like pre-COVID, but then after COVID, I just didn't really get back into it because during COVID, I really was doing woodworking all day. So I just like decided to pick up this. But like besides from the woodworking at school, like I'm with my friends a lot. We hang out, all that parties, this, that. So I'm busy with stuff, and as you said, driving school, that's a big thing because I'm getting like my license soon, like my full one. So
That's
I'm
Yeah.
busy sometimes.
And there's Rocket League tournaments and Super
Exactly, video
Smash Bros.
games, this,
Those
that.
Ultimate and all of that other stuff. We got to find a way to start melding video games and woodworking together.
Yeah, but like woodworking is my sport, kind of.
There
Like
you
that's how I
go.
like to look at it.
That's
How I like
fair.
to look at it.
That's
Because
fair.
I like spend around like the same amount of time woodworking as somebody who plays like competitive hockey or basketball would. If not, probably more time into the woodworking.
I love it.
And
It's a
so,
big
do you
time
get to
commitment.
call your school friends over to just like hang out and shoot the bull with you if they're not doing an after school activity in the shop like Jesse and I wish our friends would show up and do?
So like my friends, like they don't really know how to build anything. Like like one of my friends. So actually, I'm one of my next projects that's gonna come up is I'm building like a table for my basement, for, like to play card games, that type of stuff. And like because like I'd be making it so all my friends can come, we can play games on it. One of my friends wants to come help me with it. So we'll
That's
see how that
fun.
goes. We'll see how that goes.
And
I
then you
think
get
that's
to be a
neat.
direct teacher. That's like the best.
Yeah. So it's actually funny is so this year, I'm taking shop in school as one of my classes. And so I'm in grade 11, but they didn't have any room in the grade 11 one, so they put me in the grade 10 one. And the teacher, he's a nice guy, but it's his first year teaching shop. And like on like one of the first days when I was telling him, oh yeah, like I do this stuff at home and showing him some of the things that I do, he's like, oh, that's awesome, like blah 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 blah. And like when like we actually get to building things, like he's like, oh, I'm sure you'll be done in like 2 seconds. And I just found that pretty funny.
Do you guys get to make the carbon dioxide cartridge, the CO2 cartridge race cars that run on the fishing line? Is that grade 10
Not
workshop?
yet. maybe it's one of the next projects. We're still in the first project. We're building like these like model airplanes.
That's still cool.
Yeah,
It's still cool,
it's
but
cool.
you're also like, yeah, this is small potatoes. I'm surprised you're not his like assistant teaching.
No, but like when like in class, he's like, it's busy because like there's always people asking questions. He's like, oh, just go ask Evan. He'll help you.
All right.
That's
It's very
awesome.
funny, but it's a fun class. Like I enjoy it.
Well, yeah, you get to do something you enjoy doing, but you're doing it at
Exactly.
school. It's like pottery or
Yeah.
art class for anybody else, you know?
I actually took art class in grade 9 and I was not good at it.
Really?
It's like people think like because I do woodworking that like I'm artistic and that type of stuff, but in my case I'm the total opposite. Like like when I build stuff, like and I just get the idea, I don't draw anything down. I don't have like sometimes I have couple measurements, but I just start building.
That's
It's
perfectly
like
fine.
yeah, like with the boat I built, I drew like two like you're probably it's like if you saw the pictures you'd laugh. They're like two like really rough sketches that look like a 2-year-old drew them, and then from those pictures, a whole boat came out of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the art is all relative, right? So we have our maker community, but and we have people that do mixed media and epoxy, and we have people that build boats and people that build really fancy furniture, you know? So
Yep,
art is a very relative thing. But if you were going to
exactly.
put me in a chair and be like, "Hey, I need you to paint this picture," it would not turn out very nice.
Same with me.
I feel like if you can use the word Sam Malouf inspired guitar pick chair in a sentence, you've probably got the art part of woodworking at least buried in here somewhere.
Maybe a little bit,
A little.
not
Yeah.
that much. But that was actually the second piece of Sam Maloof inspired furniture I built with Paul. The first one was like a Sam Maloof little like end table, and that was really cool.
Keep going. The
Yeah,
second
so
one.
that was also a fun project. It had like an epoxy like river top circular, but
Yeah.
the Sam Maloof like they're actually really cool to build because like it's not like there's like special jigs and like
Yeah.
processes you gotta do to like make the joints. It's like a lot of trial and error, but once you get it, and it's like really cool stuff. The joints come out like nice.
That's awesome. Do you you have worked with several brands that I know for sure. I know Surf Prep, I
Hmm.
know Bad North America
Yep,
or Bad yeah, Bad North America, right? What are some of
yep.
your favorite brands that have kind of like taken you under their wing and you've got to explore those new opportunities?
Well, for me personally, I have a lot of tools in my shop, various different brands, and I don't have a favorite or like a favorite I like working with because I use all my tools equally and like for different things. So it's kind of hard to single out one because I use everything. Like there's not like one thing I don't use. But yes, I do. I have worked with Surf Prep and Bad. Derek from Bad, he's actually one of my mentors, and he's been working with me since like I started woodworking. It's been awesome to work with.
Yeah, Derek's a good guy.
He is, and like I wear all like my bad clothes in the shop,
I do too.
and
Anymore.
unless like some days I just put on, unless some days I just put on like a pair of shorts and go. But
Right.
when I'm
Right.
not wearing those, I'm always in my bad work pants and my bad sweater, bad shirt
Yeah.
with my apron.
TJ, we were just talking about brands, working with brands.
Wonderful. Yeah. Is there one that you're not working with yet that you wish you were? I mean, I know we talked a little bit about SawStop, and I think everybody
Yeah,
secretly dreams of getting SawStop to say, "Hey, look, there's a table saw now. Surprise!"
yeah. I mean, obviously that would be great, but I don't. I'm pretty sure Sawstop doesn't do like sponsored things. Like I don't think they send table saws to anybody. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but
I don't
like
know. You'd be more of an
if I had
authority
to
than
pick,
me.
We'll put a pin
if
in
I
that.
had to pick, if I had to pick, it would definitely be a saw stop though, because that's like the one tool I don't have.
Awesome.
So let's see here. Are you gonna put a lathe in your shop, or do I have to drive one to Toronto?
I mean, eventually, like, so I know at school it was gonna be like a wood turning unit, and that'll be like fun, but eventually maybe I would like to get into it because I know like some of my projects, like I make like little handles and stuff, but it'd be cool to actually hand turn something. Yeah, oh, at Maker's Camp, I turned a pen.
There you go.
Yeah, I forgot about that for a moment, but that was fun. I like doing that. It's cool. It's like it's relaxing to turn.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I like about turning, and this will become more relevant the older you get, is that because of the semi danger that's
Yeah,
happening, right? And it's not like you turn the table saw on and you make a 4-second cut and you turn the table saw off and the danger goes away. Like you're in there, right? But
yeah,
because of that, you have to be so focused at what you're doing that the entire world basically disappears, right? And man, with all the stuff that you got going on Bossa Nova, I want you to be able to find that flow state as quickly and easily as possible, man. That's one of the reasons that it sparks joy, dude. Like you're in there and it's just you and it's just the steel, and then you're making like a giant mess at the same time too, right? And so like
yeah.
that's a blessing and a curse, I suppose. But we're gonna find a way to get a lathe to you out there. I don't know how I'm gonna
I
do it.
make I make a big mess regardless of what I'm doing. It in or out of the shop.
We'll ask your mom. She'll tell us the
Yeah,
truth.
she would say that I make a mess anywhere, everywhere. On my clothes, on the table, on this, on that, everywhere.
So, I, I've seen you at events. I've seen you at WorkbenchCon a couple times. I think 3 times the last 3 years, right?
No, last year was my second year at
Okay,
WorkbenchCon.
so 2 years at WorkbenchCon and last year at Maker Camp. Did you get a chance to do any welding?
I've never actually welded before.
Oh my
I've done
goodness.
some metalworking,
Oh, we're
but
gonna fix that too.
never done any welding.
Man, once you have got your head wrapped around connecting wood together and not thinking about it, which is probably
Yep.
something in your sleep, right? That's why you daydream of wood joints and demand that boats manifest themselves, right? Once you figure out that you can just make metal any shape you want and then join it to another piece that's any shape that you want, everything becomes easy and the world opens up. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man, metalwork is
Just like wood, there's like infinite possibilities with metalworking.
Right.
mhm.
And now
And I
I'm
know
just mad
like
you're not coming to Maker Camp because I want to put you on a welder so bad.
yeah, I think so. Last year I was gonna go to the Lincoln Electric stand, but it was like raining or like the power was out. I know the weather last year wasn't like optimal.
No, it wasn't. It was a flood. But it
Yeah.
was cool. I did hear that Avid is not going to be there this year, which I'm disappointed because I thought it was really cool that you could go to the Avid booth, cut your piece of metal, and people were making the bowls. Did you see the bowls?
Metal bowls?
Yeah, there
Uh,
was so they would cut out like it almost looked like a flower on the
oh,
plasma, and
yep.
then you'd bend it up, take it to
Yeah, I know what
Lincoln,
you're talking about.
weld it up, and then take it over to man crafting and powder coat it, which I thought was just like a really cool like process and how they all work
Yep.
together on that. So, but I don't think we're gonna have a plasma this year, so
Oh,
I'm bummed about that.
I've cut it with an angle grinder.
True, this is true. We could. It's not as fun though.
No, it's not. But it's like last year I built an axe. I remember I restored the axe
Mhm.
head and I built the handle at the
Yep,
booth, and that was really fun. And I took it over to um, like Bumbleshoots, and I finished it with like their stuff, and it was cool.
that was
I kind
super
of
cool.
like walked around with it.
Oh yeah, I
It
remember
was fun.
that.
Yeah. There's some
And I
footage
remember
of you doing some sharpening with Canadian Pat also.
yep, with Pat at the Tormac. I got that thing pretty sharp. It's pretty dull now because like I've used it, but I should probably sharpen it soon. I also took like a big chunk out of the blade.
Oh
So
no.
I can fix that. That's okay.
So, where are you in regards to, or in, where are you close to Pat?
No, he's in Quebec and I'm in Ontario. Two different provinces.
Okay. Okay.
His province is
Yeah, like if this is like Toronto, he's like up here. A
Oh,
little,
he's
yeah.
north.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I don't really know my directions that well, but something like that.
Gotcha. Do you have any makers that are really close to you that you see regularly?
Well, one of my other mentors, Rob from Concept 13, I go to him all the time because I buy all my materials from him.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's in Mississauga, so it's like 25-minute drive, and I go there quite often. I haven't been there in a while because of camp in like the summer, but I gotta go there soon because on one of my projects I'm working on right now, the mini fridge bar for the basement, I gotta build the top. I built the base, I should build the top. I need wood for that.
There you go.
I'll have to make a
Cool.
trip over there soon. I can't
I
wait till I can drive myself there.
there you go. And then are you gonna just take a sedan over there, or is the hope for future vehicle gonna have a truck bed behind it?
Um, Probably not. Like I'll just like take like one of my parents' cars when they're not driving it. Oh, another person that lives like somewhat close to me is Vic Teslin.
I don't know if I know who that is.
Oh, he is at Workbench Con. He's an
Vic?
amazing guy. He's hand tool woodworker. I actually went over there one day and we did a collab and we built these east. I always mispronounce this the name, but East meets West hand planes. We built three of them and
Oh,
we auctioned
cool.
those. We auctioned those off for sick kids too.
And
And it
what
was
is the
amazing.
appeal of an East meets West hand plane?
So you know, like a Japanese wooden hand plane, the
Hmm.
style of that, and then there's the Western hand plane. It's like a combination of that.
Interesting. So it has a steel shoe instead of a wood block.
It still has the whole thing made out of wood, pretty much,
Oh, cool.
but it like takes like inspiration from like the Japanese one, and it takes inspiration from the Western one, and it's a cool plane.
And were you able
It
to
really
make
is.
thin and wispy shaving shots and get
Oh
all the
yeah,
goods?
he's the guy to go to if you want some thin shavings. He
That's
knows his stuff.
You get those satisfying videos.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, I
it.
love using my hand tools too. I'm a big hand tool guy. Before I learned how to use power tools, I learned how to use hand tools because my grandfather's like a big hand tool woodworker. So
That is
before
so
the
cool.
power, I did the hand tools.
I think that's a good way to start. I did not start that way. And
Yeah,
I've never used a hand tool.
and I incorporate like a lot of like hand tools into my work.
Cool. Well, we are coming up on an hour here, TJ.
Yeah, do we need to take one more lap through some sponsors?
Yeah, let's take a lap through
Okay,
sponsor.
let's do that. Okay, so one more shout out for Surf Prep Sanding Systems. You've probably got a dust collector in your shop. Does it say Surf Prep on it? Why not? Huh? No. Surf Prep has a wonderful dust collector. Jesse knows the model letters, and they're escaping me at this exact moment in time because I have to make these up as I go.
POV8.
That's the one, the POV8. Um, you should be using that. Save your lungs. You only get the one set, right? It's got the outlet on the outside of it. It's got a high amperage capacity on it also. So if you're doing crazy stuff, like drywall work or maybe doing some tile cutting, you're going to wish you had that HEPA filter that they keep in there. And that's why we work with Hannah at Surf Prep. Surf Prep,
Dust
do
free.
good.
It is.
Well, then we also need to remind everybody about the Fall Makers for St. Jude Blowout, which has lucrative prizes and benefits St. Jude Children's Charities. You need to reach out to Mike over at Woodworkers versus Cancer or at Makers for St. Jude. Doing amazing things, and this gives you an opportunity to do something great with the great thing that you do. So let's let's push that also. And then hopefully in about the next 2 weeks, maybe before we get to Maker Camp, we'll have some artwork over to Layla over at Casey Bombshell Designs, and we'll get that site up and running so that everybody can wear Sawdust Talk gear. Because, I mean, frankly, we are the coolest podcast on the entire internet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Joe Rogan's got a following, but does he really talk about woodworking? No, he doesn't. So, like, I mean, go spend your time learning about that if you want. But this is where the real rubber hits the road, boys and girls. So we'll get you some Sawdust Talk here eventually. But yeah, that is getting us pretty dang close to the top of the hour, Evan. And that means we have the final question. And that question is that every week I ask our guest for a motivational thought or a quote or maybe just a reason to go into the workshop, kick the door open, make a mess, pick up a tool, get awesome. What would you like to share with all the cool kids out there?
Sure. So what I want to say isn't just directed to children or adults. It's just get started. Even if you're not woodworking right now, just start. I know it might be intimidating, but just start small. One tool. That's all you need to start. And that one tool will get you far, trust me. And once you start building, you're gonna love it and you're never gonna want to stop. Look what happened to all three of us. So
Evan, I adore you. You're so awesome. You're like the coolest kid ever. I'm bummed you're not going to be at Maker Camp because I know my daughter has watched your stuff and she thinks that it's really cool that you're a high school kid and doing all this cool stuff. So we'll miss you at Maker Camp, but we'll see you at Workbench Con for sure.
100%. I'll see everybody there.
But to all of our listeners, thanks for joining us for episode 133 with Evan from Evan's Workshop.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me on, guys. It's amazing.
Of course.
We'll see you guys